You are listening to Zimbabwe News. Keep listening to Zimbabwe News.
Opening the third session of the 9th Parliament and State of the Nation address at the State House in Harare today. He also said the government will ensure that both teachers and students are safe by operating in a secure environment in line with the rules to curb COVID-19. The president also said government will keep pushing for better working conditions for its workers to change their plight. He commended Zimbabweans for remaining disciplined in the face of COVID-19 challenges. With 3 days to go before the SADC Anti-Sanctions Day, the regional bloc has amplified its call for the unconditional removal of unjust economic sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by the West. Speaking ahead of the second Anti-Sanctions Day slated for this Sunday, SADC Executive Secretary Her Excellency Dr. Stegomana Lawrence Tax condemned the illegal embargo for its negative impact on the development of the region.
The sanctions have caused sufferings among Zimbabweans and continue to have far-reaching effects on Zimbabwe and the entire SADC region. The Zimbabwe Democracy and Economic Recovery Act, as was passed by the United States Congress in 2001, and its subsequent amendments, is particularly harmful to the economy of Zimbabwe and welfare of Zimbabweans. The act punishes Americans who support multilateral funding to Zimbabwe and discourages doing business with Zimbabwe's strategic economic entities. This has left our sister republic without external support for capital projects. We applaud our Zimbabwean brothers and sisters who have shown great resilience, notwithstanding the damaging sanctions. It is commendable that Zimbabwe is now among the top 5 doing business and reformers in Africa and top 20 improvers on ease of doing business scores in the world. This is in accordance with the World Bank's Doing Business report of 2020. The region has also noted the government's efforts to compensate former commercial farmers in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe continues to implement economic reforms aiming to turn around the economy, and reforms under the Transitional Stabilization Program are gradually stabilizing the economy. In line with the SADC 25th October and Sanctions Day, sanctions must be lifted and must be lifted now. There is no justification for their continuation at all. I call upon everyone, individuals, nationals, private sector entities, as well as regional and international organizations to continue working with and supporting Zimbabwe.
As the government continues to push the devolution agenda, the Ruwa Local Board has been commended for being organized and putting availed funds to good use.
The Ruwa Local Board has so far received $5.7 million through the Devolution Fund and has managed to acquire equipment to improve service delivery in a move commended by the Provincial Development Coordinator, Mr. Tafanzwa Mguti, after a familiarization tour of residential and industrial areas.
Ruwa has demonstrated that it is possible for local authorities to actually receive funds and use them for the better good. Ruwa have actually acquired earth-moving equipment. They've acquired 3 vehicles which they're using basically for refuse collection. They actually need maybe 3 more. They've actually acquired also some heavy equipment that they're using for blocked drains and so forth. So they've done a lot, and this is all brand new equipment that they've bought from local companies. So they've not imported. They've bought from Bazim for their earth-moving equipment. They've bought also from Dulis for their trucks. So they're really also supporting local industry. So I believe that on devolution funds, what we now need to focus on is specifically to zoom in on water.
Ruwa Town Secretary Mr. Kumbere Madane said the next batch of devolution funds will be channeled towards water supply.
We're going to focus on water supply for Ruwa. That has been a thought for a long time. So if devolution funds come to Ruwa, we'll focus on water supply. And we're saying to ourselves, boreholes are not the major. The dam is the major for supply for Ruwa. That is where we get potable water for our residents and industry.
The channeling of devolution funds towards improving water supply is set to come as good to the local community, which has not had the precious commodity since September last year. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Ruwa.
A local private voluntary organization, Cancer Serve Trust, is set to complement government efforts in ensuring access to affordable health care after coming up with a breast cancer fundraising campaign.
With the ever-increasing number of people being diagnosed with breast cancer, a local private voluntary organization, Cancer Safe, is looking for partners to complement government efforts and help purchase tamoxifen, a critical drug taken daily by cancer patients for 5 to 10 years, through a fundraising walkathon set for this Saturday.
Throughout the world, cancer treatment is not cheap, and most of our medications we have to import them through the same system that any other country imports. This is why we need to make efforts to make sure that there is some funding, maybe a cancer funding or health insurance, such that at the end of the day, patients may not have to pay out of pocket for their medications.
Mrs. Juliet Chiduku, who was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016 and had to undergo 16 cycles of chemotherapy and 25 sessions of radiotherapy, is also calling on corporates and individuals to come on board.
Many people are scared of cancer, but when you go through the journey and you have discussion on how you can handle the situation, knowledge is power.
Ms. Chiduku also stressed the importance of support from family and friends when one is undergoing cancer treatment.
My husband has been very supportive. He's 1 in a million. From the very first day of being diagnosed, throughout the chemotherapy sessions and radiotherapy, he has always been by my side. Support is very, very important. It helps when you are going through such a journey.
The walkathon, set for Saturday, gets underway at 7 a.m. with the starting point being ZB Sports Club in Harare. The main objective is to ensure that if subsidized, the cancer drug will be available at an affordable price for the majority. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
ZESA Holdings has instituted a corruption probe in Bindura after being submerged with complaints from consumers.
ZESA Holdings Executive Chairman Dr. Sidney Gata and senior management met stakeholders in Bindura to discuss service delivery issues. The meeting also unraveled issues of some employees that have been fingered in corruption. Dr. Gata promised to restore an efficient and respectable service delivery system at the parastatal.
I want to just underline the commitment of the government, the board, management, and the organization to fight corruption at all levels.
Farmers, large-scale miners, and residents welcomed the engagement and aired their grievances.
Service vehicles.
The ZESA board chairman, who later held a private meeting with staff, revealed that 18 million Zimbabwe dollars worth of equipment was vandalized last year. ZESA Holdings is also expected to provide at least 150 new vehicles to improve service delivery. Chapiwa Machemenze, ZBC News, Bindura.
The Midlands province is ready to roll out the Pumbudza Intwasa program being spearheaded by government, with calls for farmers to embrace the climate-proofing strategy as a way of ensuring food security in the country. Tafara Chikumira has the details.
The Pumbudza concept has taken the Midlands province by storm, with indications that of the possible 272,000 households, 262,000 have since been trained on the modalities around the use of the concept. Midlands Provincial Crop and Livestock Officer, Mrs. Madeline Magwenzi, says extension officers are being equipped with motorbikes for mobility, while farmers are getting inputs.
Adoption is not that high, but we are happy again with the figure, considering that it's a concept that has just come up being boosted of late compared to what was before. And on adoption, I'm talking about 175,000. If you go to GMBs across the province, on all districts, you will notice that seed maize has been partly delivered, our compound D has been partly delivered, our AN also the same, and our chemicals. Of course, we haven't got all the full quantities as per target, but they are coming in, and as they are coming in, we're also distributing to only those farmers who have adopted Fumvudza concept.
The Zimbabwe Farmers Union ZFU Executive Director, Mr. Paul Zakaria, encouraged farmers to employ climate-proofing methods in their farming endeavors.
The rain-fed agriculture will not be the way to go in the long run. We will need to develop our irrigation schemes even at the smallholder level, micro irrigation units that will help our smallholder farmers to produce throughout the year.
The Meteorological Service Department has since predicted normal to above normal rainfall, with government pinning its hopes on the Fumvudza concept, which is based on maximizing production per unit area. Tafara Chikumira, ZimbabweNews, Gweru.
We now get our daily COVID update. Zimbabwe yesterday recorded 3 deaths due to COVID-19, bringing the total number of people who have succumbed to the pandemic to 236. In a statement, the Ministry of Health and Child Care said all 3 deaths were reported in Bulawayo province. The ministry also added that 28 new local cases were reported, bringing the total confirmed cases to 8,215. Meanwhile, the national recovery rate stands at 94% after 33 new recoveries were reported, bringing the total recoveries to 7,725. The 7-day rolling average for new cases has increased from 22 to 23, and there are currently 254 active cases. Remember to stay safe. These are the stories that you can expect coming up after this break. In business news, export growth strategies rolled out by Zimtrade have seen a jump in exports. In sport, Novak Djokovic pulls out of the Paris Masters, eyes Vienna and London. These stories and more when we come back from this break. Join us then.
ZBC inogara ichivavarira kukupai zvirongwa zvemhando yepamusoro panhepfenyuro dzayo dzose. Naizvozvo, pfungwa dzenyu dzakatikoshera uye dzinotibatsira kuti tibike zvirongwa zvamunotarisira sevatsigiri venhepfenyuro yedu. Vanoshambadza nesu nevese vane chekuita neku.
You are listening to Zimbabwe News. Keep listening to Zimbabwe News.